Well, that's protesters protesting President Trump's refugee ban. They did it so at airports across America, causing some people to miss their flights. Thousands turned out from coast to coast. We're joined now by a leader of one of those protests, Cameron Whitten. He's in Oregon. He's on the organizing committee of Portland's Resistance, an anti-Trump group. Cameron, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me here, Mr. Carlson.
Thanks. So you were at one of these protests. You've been in a bunch of protests recently, but you're particularly spun up about these executive orders that President Trump signed. What about them specifically bothers you?
So we've seen a lot of action coming from the White House since January 20th. Yeah. And it just seems like we see so much coming at us. There's so much to read, and we're responding. And for me, I am very troubled to feel that President Donald Trump, who was elected in an unprecedented election, this is a man who did not receive the majority of the popular vote. And that's a first for the country. And it's emblematic of the fact that we are pretty divisive as a country right now upon political spectrums, rural versus liberal. And so the country right now is reacting, and there's a lot of people who feel like their voices were not heard during this election. And I think that's what we're seeing. That's why I'm out there particularly, is there are a lot of people who...
You're reacting, for sure. But by the way, it has happened before. President Clinton didn't receive the majority of the popular vote in either election, 92 or 96. But whatever, I see your point. You don't like Trump. But you said you've been doing a lot of reading. There's a lot to read. Have you read the executive orders that you're protesting against?
I have read a number of the executive orders. I haven't read all of them. He's signed more than I can probably count. But we do have a lot of organizations out there like ACLU and different Islamic relation organizations who are out there spreading messages of what's happening. And I've also been reading about the federal judges who've been ruling as well, and the attorney generals, both statewide and nationally, who are also decreeing orders. There's a lot to read out there. I'm not going to say that I've read everything, and it's just happening so fast, and that kind of shows that we have a White House that is taking action faster than people are able to have a conversation. Well, I mean,
you've probably got internet access. You can pull it up. So just in case you didn't read it, here's a part that you might agree with. I thought of you when I read this, actually. And here's what his first executive order on the refugees says. The United States should not admit those who engage in acts of bigotry or hatred, those who oppress Americans of any race, gender, or sexual orientation. Do you agree with that?
So I'm curious about how that relates to the 7 countries that was put on the travel, immigration, refugee ban that's currently in place.
What are the
It just seems that if you're going to take... you're asking which of the 7 countries?
Yeah, what are the 7 countries?
Oh, you've got like Iran, Iraq. I can't list off all of them, but it lists off 7 countries. There's 5 others. I believe that Turkey's probably on it. Syria's on it. Okay, well, Syria's on it. There's a lot of countries.
They're not our country. They're different countries. But here's the point.
But you have countries like Saudi Arabia is not on it. There's a lot of countries that Trump has had business interest in that we've seen not on them. So there's questions about how did you get on that list or not.
I'm trying to get through this here. So I want to get back to this quote, though. This is from, I'm not making this up. I promise this is real. What do you think of that? So basically the executive order says, you should make sure before people come here that they're not going to be committing acts of discrimination when they get here.
How about people who've already gotten green cards or have worked for the government? So I'm just really confused. There were people who were already in the air when the executive order was signed.
Really quick.
People who've come to this country before, people who have family here, literally like wives and children, and then they couldn't leave the airport.
Right.
How about them? So, have we not already proven, have they not proven that they love this country?
I want to get back to this specific question. I mean, do you think it's a good idea or not? Before people come over, should you say to them, hey, in our country, we don't discriminate on the base of race or sex or sexual orientation? I mean, are you for that? I mean, I know you don't want to admit you're for anything that Trump is for, but what do you think of that?
The application of this executive order is already questionable. We're already seeing people who are discriminated against, and they have never shown...
Okay, I'm sorry.
I think that we should be more focused on building bridges in this country.
I'm so sorry. We'll be right back to you, Cameron. This is a Fox News alert, though. President Trump has fired acting U.S. Attorney General Sally Yates of Georgia, and he's named Dana Bente, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, as acting Attorney General in her place. Yates today had refused to defend the administration's recent executive order on immigration. In a few minutes, Senior Policy Advisor Stephen Miller will be here to discuss this breaking news, which is significant. right now back to Cameron Whitten, rather. Cameron, sorry we had to break in there. You just heard that the president has fired the acting attorney general. We're going to find out exactly details in a minute. But I want to get back to something you just said. You said you showed up at airports, and part of the reason that you went is because there were virtuous refugees stuck in those airports and they couldn't get into the country as they deserve to do. Mm-hmm. I wonder if it occurred to you that by protesting outside those airports, you prevented, like, normal people from getting on airplanes and going to their jobs or to see their family or an ailing loved one. You did. And I'm wondering why you thought you had the right to do that, why you thought you had the right to hurt people who had nothing to do with these executive orders at all, who might agree with you. Why did you have a right to hurt them?
So I just want to bring it back to the fact that this all happened in the first place because people were not able to come onto American soil. So yes, I understand you're asking now out of concern of people who felt like they were inconvenienced for a couple of minutes.
No, not who felt
but
like.
really, we're talking about people who were afraid of their lives of being deported.
Who were inconvenienced by you?
I'm just going to say that. Okay, well, we have people who celebrated their First Amendment rights. You know, the act of non-violent civil disobedience is a pinnacle of so many rights that we have fought for in this country, and we know that democracy is messy. We know that so much of the freedom that we try to defend every day, we have people who defend freedom both here and abroad. People
Stop
who have
the
to go to
talking
war
points
to
for just
protect
one
freedom.
second. Talk like a human being for just 1 second, Cameron, just for 1 second. I've heard all this before for like 25 years. And I agree with the First Amendment. I just want to ask you a really simple human question. Did you think about the people who you were hurting when you blocked access to airports? Did you think, well,
I think about
there's some normal person who wants to get through and they're not getting through because of me?
Their motivation is love. That's why we're out here. We're out here for love. We're out there to make sure that we can spread a message that the entire world can hear. We can't allow one person who just got into office now create the narrative for this country.
What about people who want to get on a plane to see their mom who's dying or whatever? I mean, what about them?
They got on the plane. They actually, in fact, they got on the plane. So it happened, actually.
You don't seem to care. Which for a man who's acting out of love, you don't seem to care. It's like they're in the way, whatever. We're making our point, First Amendment, rah rah. But like, what about normal people who aren't involved in any of this? They sign no executive orders, and you're hurting them. Like, just acknowledge that you care about them a little bit. Do you?
Yes, I care about everybody in this country. And people did get to the airport. They did get onto their plane. Yeah, you too.
Thanks. Well,